Огонь по готовности!
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show. We are live in LA from the Blizzard Arena. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and we've got a great night crew for you tonight. I've got the whole team. If you missed them on our pre-show, don't worry, they're back. We've got the good ones. We've got Brenji, we've got Sideshow, and Wolf. Wolf is still with us. Yes, we're all excited to have Wolf with us tonight. It's not that the Philadelphia Fusion are signing here in the Blizzard Arena. That was all for you, Wolf.
Everyone's really excited to have me on the desk every time. I totally understand.
I'm super excited to have you, and we're going to start the show with you today on one of my favorite segments, which is what did you learn today? I know you watched a lot of games, a lot of players, but what did Wolf learn?
I think the biggest takeaway for me today was that I shouldn't have doubted the Shocker there. I shouldn't have said, I don't know, maybe their skill is atrophied. They've been playing weaker opponents. They looked really clean today, looked really good. If you look at the Junkertown match in particular, that really stood out to me. This team looks insanely coordinated right now, and we shouldn't underestimate them as I did earlier today.
There you go. Josh?
I'm going to go with what I'm starting to learn the more we're going through this week. Not so much a today specific thing, but I'm learning that the stage playoffs, every single time they come around, are going to be nuts. Because we're in the final week, I'm looking towards the stage playoffs. I'm looking at how San Francisco Shock performed, and I'm thinking, all right, we've got a bunch of undefeated teams. That just sets up the stage playoffs to be so good.
It's looking good. What about you, Brenji?
You know what? Honestly, I was going to have a nice little thought-provoking moment here on the desk today, but instead I want to pull something up. Honestly, Roran, pull up the tape.
Myself and Wolf will be participating in the talent takedown representing the Pacific Division.
Definitely going to be winning, too.
We are going to be hard clapping Brennan Sideshow. They do not stand a chance.
You and I are technically from the East Coast. You know, we'll take the Pacific.
But we live in Korea most of the time, so it's all right.
What was that one? Was that sorry, we're going to be hard clapping Brennan Sideshow.
I like that he left me out. Smart guy.
I believe your best days are my worst days when it comes to playing Overwatch. At the end of the day.
I didn't even say it.
Not only this, my career high is more than both of your SRs combined as it stands.
I didn't even say anything.
It literally is more than it is combined. Even right now, I'm not even sure. What is your rank right now?
I just said that I'm normally from the East Coast.
Yep.
But it said that we live in Korea.
Brent, real quick,
excuses.
in Wolf's defense, how many matches have you won on that stage? Yeah, that's all you needed to know, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be afraid quite yet. Back into the show, Brad. Two teams hoping to end stage 2 on a high note faced off today when the Houston Outlaws took on the Guangzhou Charge. We all saw the first half. It was Charge up 2-0 in some very messy games. Then we went to Kings Row, and Houston came back alive, guys.
They did. It was as soon as they were able to play these triple tank, triple support compositions, and they got back into it in the second half. They dominated the Charge. Actually, they pooped on them, and Houston Outlaws really outclassed them. And it was such a change from one half to the next. And then when we went to Busan, they didn't play it. It was an incredibly confusing match in total. A lot of mistakes from both teams, but Outlaws were battering the front line of the Charge when it came to Kings Row.
I think I kind of am starting to figure out what the Outlaws are doing with their roster subs. Like, I think that we're seeing
Please tell me.
I think we're seeing Dante in with Linkster when they want to run triple DPS. We're seeing a lot more of Spree when they run just 3-3, you know, like we saw on Kings Row, for example, like you could see here. and we're seeing Linkser coming specifically on maps that suit his hero
You know
pool.
what?
Yeah, that's the
It's pretty logical, actually. Like, I feel like everyone's trying to make this out to be some sort of mystery.
No, it is a mystery, though. It is, like, you've explained the what, but it doesn't explain the why. Dante's better than Spree on Zarya, and it still gives you that flexibility, and it makes you super predictable every time he comes in. Like, I still think that doesn't make much sense, even though that's what they're doing.
I will say this, though. The real blessing is that this was the last match of the day, so we don't have to watch half of it here.
Shush, Brett,
Wow.
shush.
Hating on this match. I was excited, though. I called it before the week kicked off. We were going to a Game 5, and the Charge would be able to clutch up. Yes, my predictions on our website that everyone read earlier this week came
course.
true.
You're
The
a
Charge
genius.
showing
I
strong.
always look forward to the bucket predictions.
I knew you did, Bren. I knew it just as much as I look forward to that email that says, can you send in your predictions?
This was really weird. I mean, Houston are normally super good at this stage. They run this weird Torbjorn strat, and Guangzhou just read it instantly and switched over to double sniper. So then you've got this weird scenario where Houston have decided that they're going to run triple DPS
How
for
is
the
this
majority of
not
the
in
map.
the All-Star game? Put
then-
Happy
I
in
mean,
the All-Star
Happy
game.
did bop
Happy
on
just dunks on them.
I mean, Happy has been a really good Widow player through the Widowmaker meta. Like, we had Widowmaker meta here in Overwatch League 2018, but over in Korea, we had that as well, the sniper meta. And Happy excelled in that meta and was one of the more terrifying Widowmaker players in Korea. So it's no shock that as we see a slow transition back to more Widow play, that he is going to have these incredible moments.
So we kind of talked about the Charge ahead of time, guys, and that this was their moment. Maybe you start a run here. You got a weaker schedule coming up in Stage 3. Is there a chance we see this team in the top 10 at the end of the season if Happy keeps playing that way, Wolf?
I think there's definitely a real chance. I mean, we saw them excel in Stage 1. Different strength of schedule, of course, but they even brought Vancouver to a 5th map. I think there is a lot of potential on this squad. They've got Nero coming in soon as he reaches 18. So I do think there is a strong argument to be made, given what we've seen so far and what the meta shifts will probably be in the future, Stage 3, Stage 4, that this team could get top 10, absolutely.
Looking forward to that. Let's keep this moving on. Coming off a 2-0 weekend at the first ever homestand, the Dallas Fuel came into their match today against the Mayhem with one goal, and that's to win. Why? If you win, you're in for the Stage 2 playoffs, and the Fuel, well, we were a little bit worried for them early on. Mayhem came out strong, but ultimately it was Dallas able to achieve their goal.
Dallas looked a little sloppy coming out of their homestand event, and I think that's understandable and acceptable, especially because they pulled it back at the halftime. But they started out looking not quite their old selves, and I think it made Florida look a little better. And honestly, I think Florida are playing better. But I think Hagapyeon played very well, and I think we saw some good performances as well coming out from BQB when he was able to play Sombra. He had a good Zarya as well, but there's still... The first half of this game was not great Overwatch, I think, and that's why Florida looked a lot better at the beginning, but then Dallas just came out in the second half.
Dallas was doing some weird stuff with running the non-Zarya Sombra defenses as well, which can give you a lot of trouble. If you end up losing one of your members early, there's just no sustainability in that style of composition, as you know, Monty was pointing out in the broadcast. And I think they tried some things here. I think they experimented a little bit, Dallas did, and it didn't work out like they planned. I think we also have to remember that Florida Mayhem is a completely new roster with, you know, removing the Western players and going full Korean. Yes, it's not extremely different, and we still have the core pieces here, but I think it's taking some time to get to what you expect to see from a roster of this caliber. They're just not there yet.
As a question to that then, what if you're looking at this Florida Mayhem squad and the way they're performing right now, what are the players that you would want to be keeping to rebuild around?
I think you've got to keep Hagapyeon, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and I think BQB as well. I think BQB has his fail moments, to be sure, but I think that's a symptom of the bigger problem is that this team is just not coordinated together just yet. You know, there's always been Tabik slotted in. We just had saw them scrimming with McGravy for a really long time, for example, Apply. And Saya player's just now coming to his own on Brigida, so these are all these things that add up that make BQB look like a weaker player individually, when we know, based on what we saw from him in the past in Korea, he's a champion, he was on X6, that he is a phenomenal player. We've seen him have his phenomenal solo moments on Sombra, for example, so I think that in time, this roster will come together, but it might be too late, you know, at this point.
It's starting to hurt. Absolutely. At the end of that one, it's Dallas up 3-1. And here is a look at our Stage 2 standings. As we mentioned, with the win, Dallas Fuel have clinched. So have 5 other teams. Still 2 spots up for grabs here in Stage 2. Currently, it's the Spark and Dynasty in that position, but the Dragons and Hunters still on the edge. Guys, how do you see this playing out?
The crazy thing here is that if Hunters managed to sneak in, I think they would be one of the scariest teams in playoffs. in terms of how they match up against a lot of these teams.
Maybe. They're always a bit of a wild card pick. I think it would be a tragedy if the Seoul Dynasty don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Dragons actually as well are playing pretty well, but their next match is going to be up against the Shock, and that's not going to be a fun time.
What's really cool about this situation, too, is we have potential historic playoffs here because looking at the statistics, it looks very likely one of these players from 7 to 10 is going to get through. It's very likely we'll see our very first Chinese team making it into playoffs in Overwatch League history.
call.
So that's exciting. For me, I'm looking at this, and I think it's probably going to be Spark and Dynasty. I feel like the Dragons, even though they have really great moments with their DPS players, a little bit inconsistent.
I was going to say, is no one else excited that there's a chance we'll see the Shanghai Dragons in a stage playoff? I'm pumped. I'm cheering
pretty
on
excited
Shanghai
about
at
that
the end of this
potential.
one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty cool. They are a completely different team.
Nah,
they're a totally different
we'll talk
team.
about that during the break. Speaking of the break, coming up, we'll find out if the Shock were able to keep their 20-map win streak alive. Don't go anywhere. It's the Watchpoint Post Show.
Dragoons!
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Bro, I smell McDonald's fries.
Wait, I smell that too. Someone really got the Mickey D's up in this piece.
Yeah, me too.
McDonald's up in this piece, bro. What the fuck?
McDonald's. Potato.
You say McDonald potato.
Do you smell what the Shock are cooking? Sorry, Dwayne. I had to do it. All right, you never know. Those guys are on a historic run right now. Coming into today, having won 5 straight matches without dropping a map. All eyes were on the San Francisco Shock to see could they make it 6 matches, a perfect 24 games in a row.
That point, it almost happened, didn't it? I mean, Philly was very close in a few moments. You can see here, 99% in the overtime, but I mean, a few clutch moments coming out from San Francisco. So you never really count this team out. I mean, they're just so incredibly skilled individually. Their teamwork is... I'm going to come out with a hot take here.
Honest of takes.
If you tell me that the Shock have better teamwork than the Titans, you might be getting a slap.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to say...
no, they don't.
Yeah, I think they
Actually,
might.
No.
I think there is a case for this.
Oh, Wolf is siding against the Titans. Now it's real. Keep going, Wolf.
I think that maybe, I mean, we can't know for sure, and maybe they'll get a rematch in the finals, but I think that might be a case that the Titans are a little bit more mechanically skilled with some of their players, especially Twilight.
Yeah, I could buy that.
But then the Shock are able to play around crazy team fight win scenarios better. Like, they're taking a lot more 4v6 fights and turning them around with Sinatra's grabs.
I don't know. The Titans are very famous for investing their ultimates and still being able to come away with it with these clutch moments. And I think it takes a lot of incredible teamwork to be able to play with Bumper playing so aggressively and be able to coordinate all of that stuff and still be able to clutch out the fights.
I do want to make it clear that I'm not like completely agreeing with Brent, but I do feel like there is a case that you could maybe make at this point leading up into playoffs, because we could have that rematch in the finals.
If you
It's
give me a
certainly possible.
percentage out of 100, how much are you agreeing with Brent? 60%?
Maybe like 45.
45? Okay.
So it's a slight disagreement, but you can see value in it. Okay.
I'm kind of, but when I look at this as well, I'm looking at the sort of their ability to just kind of tech in specific heroes like Baptiste and how they use him on particular
This was so
My
cool.
God, they're unbelievable. Like, Rascal is by his head and shoulders the best Batiste in the world.
Yeah.
Like, there is nobody that I've seen that comes close to the level of Rascal, actually. And that's amazing to me because it does really give them something that we haven't seen from the Titans. That's the one thing that, like, you try and run something crazy against Shock, they're not going to have to switch anybody other than Rascal to Batiste because it just deals with everything else.
And it was a super successful defense there on the attack that we saw at the last round because he had the Batiste. They could spawn camp because the Batiste could range heal there.
What I love is that they're so confident that Rascal's going to save them on the Batiste. You saw Super playing incredibly aggressive on about 20 health, and he's just got full confidence that Rascal's going to come in with the Immortality Field and save him at the perfect moment.
I will say, for everyone else who's in the playoffs already, this is good news. Fusion are no longer a threat to your Stage 2 playoffs. They will not cause any upsets in the first round, as usual. It seems the Shock have mastered the Pirate Chick comp on Junkertown, and a big part of that is the team's ability to play and support Sinatra's Bastion. Now, Josh, take us through all of the different damage boosts Sinatra got in this one, because they full held. It was ridiculous.
This was nuts. It was actually ridiculous. Okay, so they've got the amplification matrix, and then they've got this the supercharger as well, and the mercy buff. So hold my microphone.
Sorry.
I've been our stats guy was down, so I had to whip out the abacus to work this one out, right? So you start off with 450 DPS on the Bastion. Then you've got 100% of the amplification matrix, so always remember to carry the fourth part of the abacus. Then you got 50% supercharger, 30% mercy buff. You add all those together, you times the 450 by 2.8. You got 1,260 DPS. That means a full health Rhine with his full shield dies in less than 2 seconds. Less than 2 seconds.
That's a TI-00 calculator right there.
Can you see? Can you
math.
see? Trust the numbers.
So you can kill Reinhardt in 2 seconds?
In under 2 seconds, 1.9863.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. The math adds up. Checks out here, guys. Very impressive stuff. Coming up after the break, we'll be joined by a legend. Some say a coaching deity and Brenji's personal messiah. Crusty, the head coach of San Francisco Shock, will be at the desk. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. We're now joined by a very special guest, the man who made history first with Boston Uprising when he led the league to their first undefeated stage. Now he's setting records with the San Francisco Shock. We got Coach Crusty. That's right. Of course, we've got Danny, our insider and translator, here to help if Crusty needs any assistance throughout this. Crusty, I listened to you backstage, and you give some of the best speeches to your players during the halftime. First off, can you kind of tell us what is the role of the coach right now for the San Francisco Shock?
Okay, honestly, I can't speak good English, but I'm really nervous, so I might just better answer in Korean. Sorry for that.
Okay.
저는 지금 메타에 이제 선수들을 누구보다도 이제 메타에 잘 적응시키는 그런 코치가 정말로 중요하다고 생각을 해요. 그래서 이제 선수들의 강점을 메타에 맞게 이제 활용하여서 전략 전술을 이제 만들고 이제 그거를 운영하는 게 정말 코치로서 중요하다 생각합니다.
All right, that was a really long answer. First of all, as a coach, he feels like one of the best coaches, or as coach's job would be to get players really kind of teach them about the meta and how the meta plays out and what they have to do. There's specific roles in a meta, and that's what coaches have to do. And also using each player's strong points in the meta would be, and coaching them to directing them in the meta and using their strong points would be a coach's job.
Nice.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got
nailed it. I love it. Well, you're doing a fantastic job of it. You look at the numbers. This Shock team went from 17-23 in the inaugural season to the Stage 1 finals appearance, and now after today, you're on a 24-map streak. So let's talk about that transition from Boston over to the Shock. What did you work on in the offseason to get this team where they're at right now?
저는 이제 무엇보다도 메타가 바뀜에 따라서 이제 선수들이 되게 그걸 적응하기 힘들어한다고 생각을 해요. 그런데 이제 저는 코치들이 누구보다 빠르게 이제 메타에 대해서 이해를 하고 이제 선수들의 강점을 계속 이제 키워주고 이제 누구보다도 약간 주전이 될 선수와 이제 후보가 될 선수를 확실하게 나눠서 이제 확실하게 저희가 로스터를 빠르게 굳힌 게 어떻게 보면은 저희 팀의 강점을 생각합니다.
Alrighty.
You can get it. You can do it.
Okay. So 처음 파트 다시 한 번만 다시 해주세요. 죄송합니다. Can you repeat the first part again?
Yeah, honestly, I think meta is like keep changing, right?
Yeah.
I think the point for the coaching the player is like understand fast about the meta, and pick up the correct player for this meta, and make their strengths more, maximize their strengths. I think that is a key.
It seems like you're putting the people in the right roles. So let's talk about players that improved. Who do you think you saw the best growth from when you first joined the team to right now?
Honestly, I think like Sinatra, because he always just do whatever he want at the first time.
Yeah.
But now he's like a leader of this team. Yeah, because he every time if he feel like in like bad situation, like he always just hold all of our teammates and he keep lead the team, and like he changed his style. Before he was really selfish, but now he's using all of the teammates and he's doing really good now.
It looks like the whole team is working around him. You putting these players in the right position, and that guy who's leading the charge is putting in work. Let's talk about yourself though, because we talk to everyone in the league and everyone that has seen your record on paper, but also more importantly, the people that have met you in person talk about your strengths as a coach and how you're able to get the best out of your players. What do you think separates you from some of the other coaches in the league, and what could they maybe adapt and do themselves to get more out of their players?
Honestly, I don't think I'm like, I'm a best coach, but what I'm really strengths is, my strength is like, I'm really good at, teaching the player, coaching the player. Like make them understand about this meta and make the player as known as like I said, like really smart at this game. Then, even like some situation happened, like they can just adopt it, right? Like during the game, even like they do some crazy, like, we can just adjust it and like, they can play well, fit in the game, yeah.
Definitely shows. Well, the Shock are on a ridiculous run right now. You've set the record in the Overwatch League through our first year and a half for most maps won consecutively. Was this a goal? Does the record even matter to the Shock? What are your goals right now in Stage 2?
Honestly, we lose to Vancouver, right? I only think like one of our, library is Vancouver for now on. So we're gonna just focus at Vancouver and we're gonna meet at the title match.
Focus on Vancouver the whole way. So that's one thing we all are looking forward to, is hopefully a rematch that we saw from that Stage 1 finals. It went the distance. Last time Vancouver beat you, what do you think was the reason for that? What do you need to change to beat them this time around?
I really think like the problem was flexible because, at that time, lots of this team has like their own style and they just fit in their style. Like they just do their style. But like Vancouver's strength is like every match, every stage, every map, like they just keep changing their style. So I think I focus on the player, be more smarter, and how to versus with that kind of strategy. So yeah, I think the key is they're flexible. So I'm just focusing on it.
Staying flexible. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, looking at the numbers, these are pretty concrete stuff. Right now we have New York with the loss. We have the Gladiators and Titans, though, undefeated, as well as the Shock, who we know are perfect. Looking at these standings right here, the top 8 teams will be in the playoffs. Is there anyone that could compete with you in Vancouver for that spot in the grand finals, or is it going to be a rematch?
I think it'll be a rematch, honestly. Yeah, other team is pretty good, but I think we're better than them.
And where do you think the Gladiators are going to shake out after everything?
Gladi is pretty good, but I think I might think like maybe Dynasty goes better.
Yeah?
Yeah, and like Gladi is pretty good, but I don't think they can just beat us.
Not yet, not
Yeah,
yet.
not yet.
Well, a lot of contenders are making their way up the leaderboard, but for now, I think it's safe to say that the Titans and the Shock are at the top. And speaking of that matchup, tomorrow, we have Harsha, currently a member of the coaching staff of the Titans. He's gonna be on the show. He's your former assistant coach here, and he's gonna be on our show. Anything that you want us to pass along, any messages for your now Pacific rival?
Harsha, I love you, and honestly, yeah, you're doing pretty good at the Vancouvers, but next time, I'm gonna beat you, so.
There we go. It's
Yeah.
going to be Crusty. There we have it. Well, Crusty, thank you so much for joining us, and much love to Danny for helping out with the translations. Guys, we're going to a quick break. When we come back, it's the most over-the-top moments of the day, so don't go anywhere. Show some love on Twitter to Crusty. He's the man, the myth, the legend. We'll talk about him later when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show, and welcome to the best of the best, guys. It's time to take a look at the most over-the-top moments of the day. Starting off, it's number 5, Closer. Won't let Hagapun hide. What you doing over there, buddy? Aw.
You're getting in that self-destruct. You're not getting behind that wall.
Keep your balls outside of these walls. That's what he said. It's a direct quote. Moving on. Number 4, Bren, read this one.
Oh, it's Rio and Charis and the Outlaws into Rialto's River. Oh,
So
boy.
nice.
Oh.
So nice. You almost got the triple boop. If the boat wasn't there, that is 3 sinking Outlaws.
Where's Uber to say they went into the drink?
This was a great play. I
Who
mean,
drinks from a river?
Nobody who wants
Bear
to stay
Grylls.
alive.
Number 3, it's the super. He's just flexing.
Yeah, this might be my favorite moment of the day. Just pay attention to this now. He taunts, and he just gets pelted in the head by Lucio bullets.
Worth it.
Neptuna wasn't having it.
Oh,
it was
man.
not happening.
This was a crazy hold by the Shock. Just unbelievable.
This
I think
boy's too big.
the second shortest hold we've ever seen on Junkertown in Overwatch.
At number 2, Happy is here. He is showing off his best DPS hero, the Widowmaker. It shined against Linkster today in the 1v1s.
Get used to this, man. You're going to see a lot more of this.
I once played against Happy in a Widow deathmatch custom game, and I got 10 kills, and I was second in the leaderboard.
Wow.
And he got 50. So that should tell you everything you need to know about Happy. He is just unreal.
It was to 50. That hurts to know. All right,
that's
your
brutal.
number 1 play of the day. It's Troy Hoban. We always talk about Super and Sinatra, but what about the third man in this lineup? The Diva player not only eating the grab, he helps complete after a big shatter from Super.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit about this at the time, but they just put so much pressure on Carpe, and they're so good at this. A lot of the time when the Divas eat these ultimates, it's a result of an entire team is doing it. So you can see the whole of San Francisco put a huge amount of pressure on Carpe, force out that grab, and Troy Hoban's just there. It's all the teamwork, it's communication, it's being in the right place at the right time, and that tiny amount of defense matrix still able to get the E. Really impressive.
All under the tutelage of Coach Crusty. Shout out once again to our special guest of the day. But it's time now to check in with our Twitch leaderboard. Wolf, why don't you do us the honors? You know how this works, right?
Oh, what, do I just read off who's in the top?
You can do it.
Atlanta Reign number 1, Hangzhou number 2, New York number 3, Houston Outlaws number 4, Dallas Fuel top 5 after a great homestand, Philadelphia Fusion 6, Los Angeles Gladiators in 7th, Paris Eternal down at 8, Seoul Dynasty and Vancouver Titans bringing up the rear at 9 and 10.
Reading together with Wolf. You're not done yet. Keep it going, Wolf.
All right. Number 1, Shelby 75. Number 2, Jamago. Number 3, Nitro Man 65 coming in at 4. Lakush.
Whoa!
Coming in at
Lakush!
5. Son of Dragon at number
My
6.
favorite. Legend.
Chaotix Rage at number 7.
Why is this so enjoyable?
Phantom Map at number 8. Aperture at 9. And the Graham SMX breaking into the top 10.
The Graham SMX. I'm like, Wolf, that was the best Twitch leaderboard we have ever read.
I'm glad I could perform for you guys.
I have bad news. We're not done plugging Twitch. Are you ready for this one? Here we go. And speaking of Twitch, player Q&As are back. The Outlaws Lucio specialist, Boink, is going to be on the show answering your questions exclusively on twitch.tv with the Overwatch League All Access Pass. If you don't have it, go get it. You're going to use it the rest of the season. Now, to look ahead to tomorrow. We've got more great matches coming your way. Of course, we got the Uprising taking on the unbeaten Gladiators here in Stage 2. Defiant face off against the unbeaten Vancouver Titans. And Shanghai fighting for a spot in the playoffs this week as they take on the Washington Justice. So guys, there's a lot on the line tomorrow, but which match are you excited for the most? Wolf, let's start with you.
I know it's going to come a little bit out of left field, but Shanghai versus the Justice. I think that one could be pretty good. I think the Justice, might be able to take some maps. Otto plays against his old team.
Yep.
Storyline there. So that's definitely my pick for the night.
I actually had the same one, and I thought nobody else would pick it as well, because this was the first time we saw Sleepy added to the team alongside Ark. They'd only had about 3 hours to scrim with each other previously. So now that they've had a couple of weeks, I think, because they weren't at the Dallas homestand as well, I'm actually thinking we could see some interesting stuff here. Addo and Corey might get to play some more DPS. Their backline's pretty decent. Could be a competitive game.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because that was also going to be my pick as well. No, it wasn't.
What a shocker.
No, the second one was actually the one I was looking at for the day. Vancouver Titans versus Toronto Defiant. Always love seeing the Titans because they just demolish their opponents. It's a wonderful team to watch because they are just so cohesive. They're like a nice fine pie on a
But
hot
don't
summer's
have
day.
the best teamwork in the league, which you think is the San Francisco Shock.
Well, I never said they were the best, Joss, in that sentence. I just said I like watching
The
them.
Battle for the North. It's got a sweet tagline, too. Make sure you check out their social media. Everybody out there is killing it. We want to thank everyone who came out Thursday to come watch the action live in person, for everyone who watched on their TV sets as well as twitch.tv. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and a special shout out to Crusty as well as our insider Danny Lim for joining us on this one. The pre-show tomorrow kicks off at 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll see you then.
is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.